Okay, ladies and gents, we're doing a video on warm-ups, okay? Generally, for doing runs or doing running sessions in the lockdown we're stuck in at the moment, a little eye to that, a little eye to training warm-ups and match warm-ups, which will be quite similar but can have little variations. I'll give some samples, they're not by any stretch of the imagination. The be all and end all, there is a phrase out there that do whatever it takes to warm up. I suppose I like to create some form of structure, and as well as that, certain parts of the warm up I will hand over to players over time or as soon as we can, really. So they have a certain amount of ownership, and you can watch them and not be that involved with the instruction of it over time, particularly with, say, the movement circuit I do at the start of warm-ups, so you can actually see how they're moving, okay? The philosophy behind it, I suppose the big thing for me is 90%, if not more, of the people I work with are amateurs, right? And it doesn't really matter these days whether they're amateurs or pros. People sit a lot more than they used to, and they spend a lot more time on phones and laptops than they would have in the past. So a big thing for me is bridging the real world, be it your office work, driving in the car to training, the 5 to 9, 10 hours that people are spending sitting every day, which is probably exaggerated in certain ways now in the lockdown that we're in at the moment. So we don't want to jump in to just doing high intensity training or games or whatever the case may be, or indeed high intensity running, like running out the door and doing a 5K. We want to just get ourselves ready to do something a little bit more strenuous or a little bit more technical, okay? I use, generally it's quite easy to do. One set of everything is fine. You just want to mobilize the hips, get the big muscles going, quads, hamstrings, glutes, get some pushing movements going for running, etc., etc. It's not anything too strenuous, and it is body weight, okay? This movement circuit is something, well, largely anyway, that people could use as well to do before a 5K run, for instance, or as part of their warm-up if they're doing field running, tempo running, speed work, whatever, okay? And I explain that as I go a little bit more. So just the movement circuit, you'd be hoping to get this done in 4 or 5 minutes max. When players get good at it and they understand it, probably 5 to 8 exercises, depending on the type of exercises you can do, depending how quick they pick them up. You're looking for exercises that do a lot in one go. So an inchworm to push up, for instance, bit of hip mobility, lengthening out the hamstrings from sitting in a car for possibly 20, 30, 40 more minutes. People go all over the place to go training, are stuck in traffic for long periods of time. So, and into a push-up. So we're getting an upper body push exercise as well, which is going to wake us up here. What you want is that the players can remember it, and then also try and choose exercises that are adjustable or have an easy replacement, because 4 to 6 weeks down the road you probably want to be changing it up, okay? Just little subtle changes. Get captain, leadership group, 2 or 3 guys or whatever to take it and adjust it, and eventually what you'll find is they'll actually start coming up with the exercises themselves. And I've had teams where they give me 6 or 8 exercises, and intuitively they figured out what they need, okay? So, and there's a lot of learning in that, but there is the players really start to understand their bodies better, so they become used to that and they kind of demand it as well over time. But that's what we want, okay? So we want them learning. So intro to push up, fairly full body exercise. Iso-oscillating split squats. Don't be too worried about the names I'm using here. All of these are Googleable. They're findable on YouTube. Again, text, email me if you have any queries on them. But I like getting isometrics into the warm up to get the tendons and ligaments involved as much as we can as well. Oscillating isometrics have been shown to be helpful. Now, the research would show with heavy weights, it's arguable, I don't know if body weight exercises have the same effect, but they seem to be quite successful for us in getting the blood into hip flexors, ankles, and other areas of importance. So then we move on to lunge, the single leg RDL, very common move. Lateral hop and stick, okay, and then we might play 1v1 knee tag, okay, very simple game, but just getting a moving, thinking, get the heart rate up a small bit more. We may, particularly in training, maybe not so much in a match, play big tag or Olympic handball or any agility-based game that's going to get us moving a little bit more and bring a bit of competitiveness as well, to start bringing them closer and closer to the pitch that you want them when they start the match, or indeed training. So you can put in various things there, but the first 5 really would be the important ones, okay? So then we'd go into a quite structured athletic warm-up, I call it. We would have a little bit of a push game here. It's a follow-on a little bit from this. There's single leg balance and strength involved in it. There's physical pushing. Again, we're getting closer and closer to game type scenarios. Then we'd move into A skips, B skips, boom booms. They're just examples of technical and coordination drills that I use. They're the 3 that I start with most teams. And it can take 6, 12 weeks to get any kind of a handle on all 3 of them, where the general group have got them down pat, which is what you want. And then you can start making them a bit more complicated or bring in other exercises, okay? We do a 10-meter acceleration, deceleration. Deceleration is very important in getting the knee in particular ready for change of direction. Sprints up to 30 meters in a game warm-up. Maybe go as far as 60 then in a training session. So if we're trying to develop, we would put our speed work in at this point of a training session, okay? At a game, we might do 100-meter build-ups, and that's going from a walk to trotting, to jogging, to running, to accelerating, to high speed, maybe not sprinting, and walk back, okay? And they may do another one, they may do even a third one. Generally, probably would give 2 minutes to a team, at least 2 minutes, to do whatever they want themselves at this point. Seems to be a good time to do that, because some people will like doing more sprints, some people will like doing longer 100-meter stretch outs, some people will go doing stretches, okay? There may be no reason to do them. We know that there's little benefit to doing stretches after doing all of this, but some players are just locked into them, and you're better off just leaving them do it, to be honest. So then you go into, now up to here, this is what a session would look like before you went doing tempo runs, okay? You could use the movement circuit and the athletic warm-up to get you ready for, doing maybe some sprinting and then adding tempos to the end. A lot of people don't particularly like that, and they're putting aerobic training with speed work. Put the speed work first would be the first thing, and unfortunately we have no choice sometimes, okay? So if you are involved with a football or hurling team, or Munster Senior League soccer team or anything like that, you'll get them twice, maybe 3 times a week, right? Max, right? And twice in season or when there's championship games on. So you need to put different modalities of conditioning and physical preparation together. That's just bottom line. You've no other choice or it won't get done. So you have to be really clever with your games and your tactical games and your conditioning games, that they are covering certain elements of fitness, but you're going to have your speed probably at the start of a session, and you're going to have conditioning in through the session, which is one method where you could do little blocks after games or in between different games, or you can put it at the end. That depends on the time of the season and what you want to get out of the session. And the last bit then, I've thrown up quite random, but you would go from small to large, basically. 1v1 possession, just keeping the ball away from each other, 20 seconds each, that's all. Just get them going. Very related to knee tag, but now with a ball, you're trying to avoid, you're using your agility, getting out of tight corners. 2v2 with a task, that could be just get from one side to the other in a small area. It could be to get through a goal, it could be to take shots at goal. You could be putting 2v2s in two pitches in your warm-up area and have a goalie in each. It's really up to you, it doesn't matter, it's just that little bit more teamwork needed. You could make those 3v2s, you could put all sorts of constraints and conditions in it. You could have a joker where there's 2v2 playing into mini goals and the jokers with whoever's possession. It doesn't really matter. Bigger game then, probably possession, maybe some shooting involved, 4v4, you could have 2 games of that going on for literally just 45, 60 seconds. Another 2 sets of 4 come in, and the other guys getting a break when that's going on. Tactical game, if you want to do walkthroughs, if you want to do anything in particular related to your personal tactics for your team, or have a little game set up related to the way you're going to play in the upcoming game or in the actual game that evening. Sometimes there's no harm to run through patterns like that, just as a little reminder. And then an attack and defending game, quite general, okay, but it's very important to be shooting. Ultimately, the games are all about scoring, and on the flip side of that, you have to defend. So any games, no matter what they are, that involve, attacking and defending, because ultimately we need to do that in a game, and the players need to be ready at a pitch as soon as the game starts. Now, there's an awful lot of stuff there, really, if you're to look at it. This, as I said, will take 4 or 5 minutes, right? Players will learn this quite quickly. They'll learn this as well, but it probably needs a bit more monitoring. Particularly in training, you hope you're fresh for competition games. Particularly in training, this is a great chance, well, both of these are, but particularly this is a good chance to see how they're moving and what fatigue is like and are they fresh. And you may reduce as you see fit. Again, a lot of games here, but if you're well organised, the 1v1 turns into 2v2, which will turn into 4v4, okay? That little section here could be all done in 5 minutes. Seems like a lot, but you could actually get that all done in 5 minutes. And you're just trying to get them decision making, get their ball in hand, get them put under pressure, okay? Then a tactical game, as I mentioned, could spend 5 minutes with that as well. Nothing too spectacular. And then you have an attack, again, 5 minutes. So you have 15 here, probably 5 here, and probably, let's allow 5 here. So you're looking at 25 minutes, okay? Sometimes you may reduce that. It really is down to the team themselves a lot of the time. Some teams will like to go out, stay out, and they like long build-ups. Other teams would like it shortened, and they'll tell you. That's the thing, they will tell you over time, and you just take out the least important stuff, okay? So, just to wrap up, if you're doing tempos, if you're going to be doing sprinting, you can use basically what I would use here, movement circuit and athletic warm-up. The first 2 parts of what I would use in a team or a sporting situation. They're going to help you. I suppose this, very much you may not be able to do the tag, but if you're going for a run from home, you'll be able to do a movement circuit, and I would encourage this greatly, okay? You may not be able to do all of this, but I would say you could do A skips and B skips and do 100-meter build-ups. If you just took this one, and this one, if you're going for a 2K, 3K, 5K run, that, all of that, A skips, B skips on 100 meter, will give you a great chance of being in good nick when you go out for that run. Okay, and that your movement will be decent when you start. So hopefully that good movement will mean you will not fatigue too early in the run. And the later you fatigue, or if at all, the better. The less likely you are going to be injured. Okay, so that's it. Questions, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you want, themovementcoach.km@gmail.com. I'm happy to answer any of the questions, or of course on YouTube or the IGTV video comments, feel free to comment there and ask any questions.